Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my right, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cuttrell.
Gene, it's a great day. I love the topics that we got on deck. Hopefully Bill's going to join us here shortly, but this was a fun one. I feel like most of the time, like during the summer, you get that like lull period where there's, certain things that are going on, but just really not too much interest in. But I feel like this show is interesting, and football is around the corner when we get our list started, and we're getting that top 10 started today. We already had 6 through 10 posted on the Facebook page, going through the top 5 today. So I'm hyped for this show.
I'm also hyped for the show. I'm EA Sports. I'm in the game. I'm fired up. We got a whole plethora of topics. We got MLB All-Star picks. We got a UFC recap. We got trivia. I'm going to try to tie it up, get to 3. And then next week, you can try to knock me off the stage. But I know this ain't happening this week for Shally, because if he's not here, I'm taking the win by forfeit. Taking the win by forfeit.
That's fair. I think he'll be here. We know how it goes.
I don't know where he's at. He could be, like, if you know Shally, he might be missing. Look for him. I'll be on shortly. I think he's restarting this CPU, little audio issues. It's kind of like an every other week thing. But I'm fired up. I'm ready to get rolling. Where are we starting? Oh, wait, I know where we're starting. We're starting with the 2024 NBA 2024-2025 NBA champions, the Philadelphia 76ers. Landon playoff P. He's no longer pandemic P. He's playoff P. Paul George has signed. P. What?
Podcast P.
Podcast P. The perfect number 3 for the 76ers organization. Shally, are you there? Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shallcross. Do we have audio? No.
Almost.
We cannot. And that's unfortunate. Where are we starting? Are we starting with draft first, bro? Is that where we're starting? We got
whatever you want to do. If you want to do draft, you want to do NBA, I mean, it's up to you, my friend. We can talk about the big news. We can talk about the little news. That's big news. It's up to you.
Let's start with free agent. Start us off. Where are we going? Get rolling. I'm gonna get this out to a couple more people.
I mean, I think it's only fitting that we start with. I mean, you already kind of alluded to it already. I feel like it's only fitting that we start with the Sixers signing Paul George. I mean, he was the biggest free agent that we anticipated being on the move this offseason anyway. So I feel like it's only right to start with Paul George. And I'm sure, you guys are going to go off about it. And, Gene, you've already made your claims about the Sixers being the NBA champions next year. So, I'll let you get to that. But for me, I think it's a great signing. I have been saying it all along last year. I felt like the Sixers were missing a wing that could create their own offense that they could rely on to be a consistent scorer for them. I didn't necessarily think that it had to be a piece as good as Paul George is, but if you can grab a talent grab a talent like that and add him to an already good Sixers team with a good coach and a good core with Maxey and Embiid, then you're going to be in really good shape. And I said it on Facebook, I believe, but I think this Sixers team is going to be in great shape moving forward. Of course, one big operative is going to be, can these guys stay healthy? But outside of that, assuming that they are healthy, right now, I don't think Paul George is better than Tyrese Maxey, but I do think come playoff time, Tyrese Maxey is going to be the second best player on the 76ers team. And if Paul George is the third option or the third best player on any team in the entire league, they're going to have a shot to win a championship this year. So I love what the Sixers did. I think it's a great move for them. Now they just got to focus on filling out the rest of that bench. And I think an underrated signing was ultimately them re-signing Kelly Oubre, bringing him back in the fold and, being able to roll out lineups of Maxey, George, Oubre, Embiid, and whoever you want to throw at the 4 to plug and play there. I think it is great news for that Sixers team.
Getting Ben Simmons back, bro. Trading him back. He's coming back. He's going to play the 4 for us.
I know you're joking when you say that, but in reality, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I will not sign up for that.
I know, but I'm just saying, from a basketball standpoint, that would not be a guy who doesn't need to get his shot and can actually defend. And I mean, again, operative thing is going to be health. But basketball standpoint, I think it could make sense if Brooklyn's going to eat that contract. But I know no Sixers fan in Philadelphia wants that to happen.
None. I don't want any of them. I don't want any piece of them. I will say this, though. I'm elated, right? I'm elated that they signed Paul George. And they also got Kelly Oubre back, who Kelly Oubre could have went on the market, made some more money. The 76ers got him back on a team-friendly deal, in my personal opinion. And also, they brought in a guy in Andre Drummond that could play backup center when Joel Embiid misses 10 to 15 to 20 games this year. It's going to happen, guys. Embiid's going to miss games. And you're going to walk in double-double when he's in the starting lineup. You know those daily fantasy lineups? I'm telling you right now, you get those game time decisions, Joel Embiid, and then he gets out. And you can get Andre Drummond at the value he's going to come in when he's in your starting lineup. He's going to give you 12 points and 16 rebounds if he's starting for you. And you're not going to have to deal with what you dealt with last year with the New York Knicks and not being able to crash the glass when Joel's not on the court. You'll be able to have Andre Drummond that can play and get rebounds and be able to get in there with those big guys. And I think that that's an underrated sign. Listen, I feel like a Lakers fan last offseason. The 76ers have won the offseason. But this year, it's not with Gabe Vincent. It's with Paul George. And Paul George being the third best option on any team, period, is the move. I'm elated. Now, Danny Dempsey wants to know, what's better, Ben Simmons' shooting skills or Shalley's internet connection?
That's a great question, because I will say, to Ben's credit, I've seen him hit jumpers in an empty gym. Like, I see the videos of it. But to Bill's credit, I've seen Saturday mornings on Coast to Coast. He finds ways every Saturday morning, everything's up and running fine. So, like, I don't know what it is about night. Maybe he's rushing because, getting off work and getting back home, things like that. What's going on? And maybe with Ben, the lights just get a little bit too bright when there's 25,000 people in the arena. But ultimately, I'm gonna give Shally the benefit of the doubt here. I'm gonna say his connection is better, just because I haven't seen Ben play in 2 years at this point.
See, the difference is I think that Shally wants to play.
Fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Can we all admit I was right about Ben Simmons? Can we get that? Can I get a Gene you were right?
What were you right about, though? Because when he was playing, he was an all-star.
Did I not say he was a cowardly lion and he was going to run away? Did I not say he didn't want to play basketball anymore? Did I not say that?
I don't know who disagreed with you about that part.
I don't know, bro. You guys sat here and told me Ben Simmons was this, and he's going to go in Brooklyn and do this.
He was an all-star. He was an all-star for a while. Brooklyn. He was one of the best players and best defenders in the league. I don't know, Brooklyn. You're right.
The moment that Ben Simmons' career was over was when he passed the dunk up to Furkan Korkmaz and didn't dunk on little Trae Young. That was it. There we go. That's what I needed. I needed one of those.
I think it'll be interesting, though. I mean, with Brooklyn blowing it up, Ben Simmons is – I think he's going to be I think he can be a front runner. You trade him to a good team. Like, I could see him being good on a good team. He went to the Nets.
Doesn't want to play basketball.
True. No, I get that. But the Nets had so much dysfunction after he got there. I mean, sure, he was a part of it.
Blaming on the Nets.
No. I'm not blaming it on the Nets. I'm saying if he goes to a team where he's expected to come off the bench and they're competing for a championship, like if the Nuggets were like, hey, we'll trade for Ben Simmons if you guys are willing to eat the contract. If Ben's out there playing with, Joker and Michael Porter Jr. and all those guys, like, I can see him being successful in a role like that is all I'm saying.
Kardashian stole his talent like in Space Jam. This is true. Boog said Ben Simmons' defense is better than Bill's defense. I don't know if you were watching softball last night, Boog, but Bill's defense on the mound was very, very solid. Got to give him credit. Ben also doesn't have a no-hitter. Just saying.
Fair enough.
All right. What other free agent signings are you like excited about for this offseason? I have the whole list up if you want.
Not excited, but like, I mean, I think the other big one that you got to talk about is Klay Thompson leaving Golden State, taking the money, going over to Dallas. Seemed like the Lakers were in contention for a while, and ultimately he decided that he wanted to go to the Mavs. To me, it felt like, I know the reports kept coming out that Klay wasn't happy with the Warriors and that he was going to be leaving and that the bridges, couldn't ultimately be fixed. But there was like this small part of me that just really thought somehow, some way they were going to work it out and they were going to come to a reunion, and like that was going to be just what they did. And that really just didn't happen. And I think it'll be interesting for him to go to Dallas because everyone's talking about, like I keep seeing on ESPN, they're comparing Klay Thompson going to Dallas, like Ray Allen leaving the Celtics and going to Miami. Well, the difference to me is that Ray Allen went to Miami and he embraced the role of being that sixth man coming off the bench. I don't know if Klay Thompson is at that point yet in his career. Like, I think he is going to go to Dallas. He's going to want to, demand to be a starter, and he's going to try and be a true impact piece, like try to be that third best player on Dallas, as opposed to Ray Allen, settling in for the role, being the fourth, fifth, sixth best player on that team. But Klay to Dallas is one that really interests me as far as big moves go.
So first of all, Timmy Todd might say this is a joke. I actually think this is true. I think LeBron's the reason Klay Thompson didn't go to the Lakers. I think that his GM ability and the things that are going on in Los Angeles is just a little weird. And I think that team is set up. I said this last year, and y'all remember me saying this last year, and I got a lot of grief for it. I don't think the Lakers contend for a championship. Like, make it to the finals. I don't even say win the finals. I don't think the Lakers make it to a finals until 2032 at earliest. I am telling you when I say this, they are cooked. They're done. Their future's destroyed. They have nothing. That team is dead. They're dead to rights. They're over. And listen, LeBron might not be the reason, but when you see a team draft Bronny and give him a guaranteed contract in the second round, 4-year guaranteed contract, you know what they're pandering to. They're pandering to LeBron. I actually think this too. I don't want to get too far, right? I actually believe the Klay Thompson signing the Dallas Mavericks does not move the needle one bit for Dallas. I know Mo and Brett were on the other side of what I said last night. That's fine. Listen to the N1 podcast. Those guys know their stuff. I completely disagree. I think no knees Klay does not help at all. His defense used to be good. It's not anymore. He's not a good defender anymore. He's a minus defender. He's a 39% three-point shooter. I don't know what he brings to your team. A veteran presence? You have guards that can score already. I hate the Klay signing to Dallas. I don't think it's a good fit for them. I don't think it's a good fit for Klay. I think Klay needed to go to a team, a drive and dip team, a team that would drive and dish, and he would stand there and shoot open threes. Klay Thompson's role is now a Danny Green role. That's what it is. It's a Danny Green role. Shally heard me talking smack about LeBron. He came on. He was excited. Shally, I know your volume works now.
I can hear you.
My guy, there he is. It's like a celebration when we get to this point.
Celebration.
But the free agent sign I'm most excited for.
Oh, wait. Before you go there, I want to rebuttal the Klay point.
Okay.
Before we get too far. So with Klay, I don't want to say I think you're undervaluing what Kyrie and Luka do, but I do think they can be that drive and kick team. Like, I think the reason why they lost the finals wasn't because they didn't hit open shots in the corner, but I do think it's a difference, kicking it out to the corner and Klay's in the corner versus Derrick Jones Jr. being in the corner or Josh Green being in the corner. Like, I do think that will be different for this Mavs team. So I think that with Klay joining this Mavericks team as well, it does give them, I say, better spacing, because teams can't just leave Klay the same way that they left, again, PJ or Derek Jones or, Josh Green or any of these other guards. Now, I'm not saying I think this puts Dallas over the hump by any stretch of the imagination, but I think just having a knockdown shooter is something that was not on outside of Kyrie and Luka. They didn't have one guy that was considered a knockdown shooter on the entire team.
Hold on. I got an argument back for it. All right, so was Kyrie not a knockdown shooter?
I said outside of Kyrie.
Hold on, was Luka a knockdown shooter?
Outside of Kyrie
what
and
do
Luka,
they have to replace to put Clay on the court? Oh, wait, that's right. They have to replace a wing defender in Derek Jones Jr. or PJ Washington.
No,
and Clay is not a wing defender.
Look, Luka is big enough. This is what it's going to come down to. We said it after the finals as well. Luka's going to have to step up and play defense next year. He's going to have to give you effort on the defensive end, whether that means him getting in better shape or that just means him putting in more effort. That's what he's got to do. You can run out there with Kyrie at the 1, Clay at the 2, and Luka at the 3 if they're playing defense. I get it. Clay's not the defender that he used to be. I 100% understand that. And I get it. We've seen Luka look terrible on that end. But Luka's he's a 6'7" guard, and he's bulky. Like, he has the size to guard, threes in the league. So it comes down to effort at that point. Jason Kidd's got to get that out of him. I think you can run lineups all three of these guys on the court, still throw PJ at your 4, and then have Derek Lively or Gafford run at your 5 and figure out what your bench rotation is. But I also think them getting Quentin Grimes was an underrated move for them to bolster that bench.
That's
like,
not what we're talking about, though. We're talking about Clay.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, in general, though, like, just that team as a whole, Quentin Grimes coming in off the bench, replacing what Tim Hardaway Jr. gave you nothing before. I think Clay can be a fit for this team. If Clay can be a fit with how he shoots, Luka has to play better defense if you want this to work.
I completely disagree with you. I think the last point that you make is what you can try to stand on and say Luka's got to play defense, and that's accurate, right? But what you're taking off the court by adding Clay is a plus defender and adding a minus defender. Now you have 1, 2, and 3 that can't defend basketball. And the fact that we're just sitting here saying, oh, well,
Kyrie was actually much better.
Kyrie can't defend. Kyrie's a minus defender. Look it up.
Last season he wasn't. I guarantee last season he wasn't.
I'll look it up. I guarantee you Kyrie's a minus defender. I'll look it up.
Look at what he was after they made the trade for PJ Washington and Gafford. He was incredible.
I can't do that. I can't do that. I can do it for the whole year. Are you gonna fold or no?
No. Go ahead.
I got it. I can't say, from this date, what was his defensive rating?
Well, it's all-star break, or trade deadline, but
so here we go. Got it right here. Oh, this is interesting. He was 115.7 defender. Defensive rating was 115.7, which is the second worst of his career for the year. Opponents they averaged 25.6 points per game versus him. He was terrible.
Kyrie's never been known for defense.
Never been known for it, for sure not.
Look, and at the end of the day, I'm not saying that Kyrie Irving was the problem on their defense. I'm not. What I'm saying is you're taking off a Derek Jones Jr., a PJ Washington, who are plus defenders, off the court to add another guy that's a minus defender at this point.
Why are you taking off PJ, though? I get Derek, but
you take one of them off the court. You take one of them off the court.
Derek left anyway.
Well, my point being is he was there last year and he was a plus defender. So you replaced him with a minus defender. I could see you Googling Kyrie's stats. God, I can't wait till you see it.
No. I'm looking literally at, because I remember looking at the stats after they made the move and after what their lineup was set for as the season went on, because they were like one of the worst teams in the entire league. And then, all right, so Kyrie Irving post-trade deadline, which wasn't impossible to look up. It's right here. Against guards and forwards, they field goal percentage against Kyrie in the playoffs was 38.7%. He was second in total deflections during the playoffs for all players, tied for first in total steals.
Total deflections, he played the most games. That's not fair. That's a LeBron stat. Don't do that. Luka led the NBA in the playoffs.
Who else played? You know who else played in all these games? Jaylen Brown did. Jason Tatum did.
No, they didn't.
Why didn't they? They
played 4-game series, and the Mavericks played 3 7-game series.
No, they did not play three
Right,
7-game
they
series.
played 7-game series.
No, they
But the
did.
Mavericks played the
They
most
had a
games in
5-game
the
series. They
postseason.
had a 6-game. No, okay, you're right. By what? How many games actually did they play?
They played 5 more games than Boston.
No, they didn't.
They
No,
did.
they didn't.
Boston played 4, 5, and 4.
They played first off, they didn't sweep anybody twice in the playoffs. That's
They
first
swept
off.
Indiana and they
Okay.
swept Cleveland.
No, they did not sweep Cleveland.
All right, they
Again,
one game versus Cleveland,
okay,
and one
they
game versus they played 5, 5, and 4.
Okay,
and
and
Dallas
Dallas
played 5,
did.
6, and 7.
They did not play. Who did they go 7 against?
Hold on.
They won 6 against the Clippers and they won 6 against the Thunder. They didn't go 7 in the playoffs.
Hold on.
You look it up.
I am.
It's a fact. 1 game 6 against Thunder. 1 game 6 against the Clippers.
Who'd they play in the first round?
The Clippers.
Game 6. You're right. Okay, say
No.
6, 6, and 5.
So 2 more games.
Yeah, and you're
I
right.
get it. But I'm point being, Kyrie hasn't. I'm saying Kyrie can't play defense towards his back. The second half of the year, Kyrie was playing a lot better defense. That's all my point was.
Better than the worst of his
playoffs.
career? Okay, good.
No, but it's not just better than the worst of his career because you look at these numbers and he was up there with everybody in terms of guards.
You use total deflections as a stat.
Total deflections, total steals during the playoffs. Third and
Not total, bro. He played the most games.
again.
All right. Well, let's put
other-
it in perspective though. Is he going to do it for 82 games next
No.
year? No, he's
No.
not. Okay,
What
okay.
matters?
Okay.
The playoffs what matters.
It does. Here's why it matters. Clay is not going to be a plus player. Clay is not going to score 20 a game and only give up 18. They're going to lose in that ratio. That's Gene's point, and I 100% agree with him. They are a tremendously worse off defensive team right now as they were after they just went to the finals.
Because of Derrick Jones Jr.
No, because Clay has no legs, bro. You have to look at it like to the point of
PJ still on the team.
To the point where Golden State really didn't offer him a contract. Like they did everything in their power to make it amicable they lowballed him, dude. They put a number out there that they had to put out there to not make them look like complete assholes for everything that he's done for them. They didn't want him back, dude. The writing's on the wall. They just didn't want him back.
Look,
They weren't going to pay. They weren't going to pay him
like
anywhere near anything that he wanted. And
you
Dallas
guys are
offered
acting
him.
like I'm saying Clay is an all-time great defender right now. That's not what I'm saying. But
Okay,
I think
but our point is
it's being
you
drastically
three guards that don't
overstated
play defense.
about Derrick Jones Jr. versus Clay. Like it's being drastically over. PJ is still on the team. They still have Gafford. Roster's basically still exactly intact. Derrick Jones is the only guy that's different.
Is Clay going to start?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so your 3 top guards do not play defense in a loaded West. They don't play defense.
Clay also scores more than what Derrick Jones Jr. will.
And he's going to give up more than what Derrick Jones Jr. did. That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a wash. And you have a guy that's just going to sit in the corner and pray that the two of the top 5 most ball dominant guards in the NBA are just going to throw him the ball all the time.
Answer me this: Did the Mavs lose in the playoffs because they couldn't play defense?
Yes. They lost in the NBA Finals because Luka was a damn traffic cone. Don't lie to yourself. He was a traffic cone. He was a cone. Was he not a cone?
So was
Boston's offensive strategy to put Luka in every single pick and roll action. They soloed him out every play. They made him play defense, and he was a cone.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think saying that that's the reason why they lost is crazy.
If you want to counter that and say they didn't have another go-to scorer, that's fine. But at the same time, but Kyrie didn't play great either.
He didn't. He didn't. But he didn't.
All right, so what are you getting with Clay? Are you telling me if they had Klay Thompson in the finals, they win the finals?
No. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when you go to the NBA Finals, and let's just go through the games here. Game 1, Mavericks scored 89 points. Game 2, Mavericks scored 98 points. Game 3, Mavericks scored 99 points. Game 4 was when they had the breakout. They had 122 points. And then closeout game, they had 88 points. if you don't score 100 points in today's game of basketball, you're not going to win games. So their defense could have been incredible. They could have held Boston to 100 points every game of that series, and they still would have lost in 5 the same way that they did.
Okay, so who wins the Western Conference next year?
Shit, your guess is as good as mine.
Oklahoma City or Dallas? Who do you like?
Okay.
I actually like OKC. I like what they did.
So do I. And my point being is, you think Dallas is a better team now than they were a month ago? And
I don't necessarily think they're better, but I don't think they're worse either. I think they
$50 million for Klay Thompson to not be better
over 3 years. You act like it was $50 million on a 1-year deal. That's what, $17 million a year, 16.8, whatever the exact number is. Like, that's not crazy in today's market of basketball.
Okay. Hey, listen, I don't want to go too far on this. I want to talk about my favorite signing of this free agency outside of Paul George. And then I'm going to let Shally sound off about why Paul George isn't going to win the NBA Finals for the 76ers, because he's going to. And that's okay. I'm going to let him do it. But my favorite signing, it's going to start off the age-old. I'm going to give you guys, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Don't say a word, Cottrell. You keep that mouth shut. You keep that mouth shut.
Oh, brother, I know where this is going.
You better know where it's going. The 22-win San Antonio Spurs signed a real point guard. The point god is going to take them from 22 wins to 44 next year. I am doubling San Antonio's wins just with the point god coming in there and handling business. San Antonio wins 44 games, over, under.
Under.
I'll bet it. I will bet it.
Under, because Chris Paul probably won't play 44 games.
Hey, listen, you knock it off. His leadership will be there. He'll be on the bench coaching them.
Bill, you know what's funny? Bill, you know what's funny? 3-4 weeks ago, whenever we were talking about the Warriors and the end of their season and what they needed to do, Gene's over here talking about Chris Paul needs to retire. It's ready. It's time for him to hang him up.
That's the perfect situation he went
and
to.
And now he goes to San Antonio
right now.
He's about
that's the perfect situation he went to.
I agree. It is a great situation for him.
He needs to go to.
I'm not going to lie. They don't win 44 games. It's not because of Chris, though. I think he's a great fit for Wemby. I think that's exactly what they needed to happen. That Spurs team, that Spurs roster still stinks. Like, they are awful. I like them getting Stephon Castle, but as a whole, that team is disgustingly bad.
I'll go further. They're in the play-in.
I'll bet that.
Let's go. What are we putting on it? Round of golf, baby. Round of golf.
100 shillings.
You're already down 200 shillings, bro.
I am down 200 shillings.
Listen.
DK screwed me last night.
He did. I'm telling you right now that the San Antonio Spurs are going to be a very good basketball team this year. Very good.
I'm not even going to say that if he can stay healthy and play 60 games somehow that he doesn't make them better, because he will. But that the rest of that roster is just not there yet. You're right. The rest of the roster isn't there.
I'll tell you what, though, I guarantee you one thing, and I'd bet my life on it. Like I'd be willing to go to the stake on this if I'm wrong. The San Antonio Spurs will not win an NBA championship next year.
That's right.
I bet my life on that.
That's fair.
Chris Paul,
no one's arguing
Chris Paul on the roster, winning? Nah.
They're going to double their wins with Chris Paul on the roster.
Bro, that's a lot.
Double.
I mean, it doesn't get much worse than 22. I do think they improve.
44 in the West is a lot.
I'm telling you, they're going to do it.
All right. I mean, well, who are they better than?
I think, just to be clear, I think they're better than the Utah Jazz are now. I think they're falling apart. I think they're better than the Golden State Warriors now. I think they're falling apart. I think they're better than the Portland Trailblazers. The Trailblazers stink.
Facts.
Better than Golden State.
They're definitely better than Golden State right now.
Not a chance in hell.
It's Steph and Draymond in a bag of Doritos.
And those Doritos are better than the damn Funyuns that the Spurs got.
How about a Sunday morning championship, CJ? That's what I want to bet. I'm just messing with him. No, but seriously, I think
I do like the move though. I do like the move.
So
I don't dislike the move at all.
Shally, this is your moment. You have one shot, one opportunity. He's everything you've ever wanted.
I'm not going to go. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere near where you think I'm going to go with this.
Well, I'll tell you this, right? I know that you were critical in our chat, but here's what I'm going to tell you. If you do not hop on the 76ers bandwagon right now, we will not welcome you for the playoff run.
I'm a lifelong fan. I don't have to jump on any bandwagons.
Okay, so you need to pronounce the 76ers as the Eastern Conference champions and going to the NBA Finals right now, or we don't want you come June. Next year when they're in the NBA Finals, I don't want to hear I knew it the whole way. I don't want to hear it.
I'm not going to say that. I'll say they should definitely make the Eastern Conference Finals if everybody's healthy, and that is going to be the biggest question mark. Everybody wants to throw out last year, and that's fine. Paul George played a lot last year. The 4 years before that, he didn't play more than 56 games in a season. He's coming off playing with one of the biggest no-show, stars of all time, and Kawhi Leonard. But now he's joining a guy that when he's healthy is able to dominate the league, but another guy that can never stay healthy. So I think he I mean, listen, I've joked around a lot. He's an upgrade over Toby. But he's got to be on the court. I think defensively, he brings a lot of possibilities and versatility and flexibility for Nick Nurse. I think he gives the Sixers a way better chance to win if JoJo's off the court for those, just maintenance days or whatever. I don't think it falls on just Maxey. And, we saw how the Maxey Toby thing didn't work last year. I'm not going to be super negative. I'm not going to do what you're doing either, though. I'm happily going to be cautiously optimistic about this. But if he goes back to old Paul George, starts playing 50 games a year, then this is an absolute waste and a joke, and they need to just blow it up.
I do want to respond to this comment right here. I love the Sixers, but fail to see how this makes them better than the Knicks, Bucks, or Celtics. If you take the Knicks and Bucks out of that, I can hear that argument. How they're not better than the Bucks. The Bucks are the least athletic team. I'm not kidding with you. My Tuesday night softball team might be as athletic as the Bucks are. They have nobody that's an athlete on that goddamn team. That team is slow, old, decrepit. You have Giannis, and you have a bunch of old guys running around with knee issues. Don't lie to yourself. The Bucks stink. I think the Cavs are better than the Bucks.
They're definitely better than the Bucks. And, I mean, on top of that, the Bucks have Doc Rivers, so that's another minus negative in the category. I think if everybody's on the court and depending on what they do with the rest of the roster and so forth, I think they're better than the Knicks now. I think it's still a battle. I just don't think they're better than Boston. I think Boston retaining everybody. I still think they're the best team in basketball.
I'm not gonna lie to you though. With Boston, I think everything fell in their favor this year. They were the best team in basketball the entire year, and no doubt about that. They deserve to be champions this year. They beat everybody who was in front of them. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. But I do think it's a much different ball game if first round. Let's say if the East goes how it goes now, I think Miami probably is going to be your 8 seed again, or somewhere around there. If you have to play Miami in the first round, the second round play some variation of Philadelphia, New York, or Milwaukee. I think that's going to be a test. And then to play another one of those teams again in Eastern Conference Finals, that's going to be another test on top of that, especially now that everybody is starting to build their teams to beat you. Like that's what everybody's doing right now. Philadelphia went out and got a wing. New York, they went and got a wing. The Cavs, they haven't necessarily made a move yet. The Bucks, they haven't necessarily made a move yet either. But when you have talent like Giannis or Donovan Mitchell or Jimmy Butler that are still in that East, those guys are healthy come playoff time. Like the East is also going to be a bloodbath next year. So I think everything aligned for the Celtics to win their championship this past year. They were the best team in basketball, but now the target is on their back and everybody's constructing their roster to beat them. Think about how dominant that Nuggets team was 2 years ago when they went on that championship run. The following year, we said it on the show. We most of us picked Denver to ultimately go back. I know, Gene, I know you picked the Celtics to beat Denver, but teams loaded up to match up with what Denver had, and you saw Minnesota gave them problems. So I think now the target's on Boston's back. Everyone's making their moves. It'll be interesting to see how Boston responds to that next season.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I talked about that 2 weeks ago. Or the last show they had. I think they had the most fortunate run to the finals ever. I mean, like Cottrell said, I mean, if you have to go through a healthy New York team, a healthy Philadelphia team, Milwaukee, I mean, JoJo was playing on one leg. I mean, Milwaukee was even worse off than Philadelphia was. Miami wasn't healthy. You're going to have an Orlando team that's going to be a year better. And then Cleveland pretty much is going to run back what they had. So I think it's going to be a lot harder, and a lot of teams don't respond as well. To Cottrell's other point, when you're hungry and you're chasing it for the first time, teams react and do things differently than when they become the person that everybody's hunting. You're going to get everybody's best shot every game next year. So I think the perfect example is Denver. I think you saw the wear and tear of what happened to them last year. They went champions, had that long run, finished the season late, tired, and then you get everybody's best shot every single game during the regular season, and other teams get a little bit better. It just wears you out, man. It just wears you out over the course of a season. So I will be, like I said, I still think they have the best roster, but you have to see how they're going to react and, see how New York gels, how Philly gels, and how it's all going to settle when, at the very end of the year.
CJ, they have Kelly Oubre. He's signed back. He's definitely going to start for them. Eric Gordon signed there. I think Eric Gordon will end up starting at our 2 guard. I think the 76ers run a roster out there of Maxey, Gordon, Oubre, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. And then you also drafted Jared McCain with the 16th pick in the first round. And that kid, listen, say what you want about his TikTok videos. Say what you want about his nails. Say what you want about anything you want. Kid works hard. Kid's a high motor player. No one's outworking him in the gym. He's that type of guy. He's going to put that effort in. And I think he'll be a very good backup point guard in the NBA. I don't think he'll ever be a superstar. I don't think that's what this draft was. But I think that you have depth pieces at this point. I also would love to see what Ricky Council Jr. does with another year. He showed promise last year. I wish he would have got more run in the NBA playoffs. But I think the 76ers have the depth. I think they'll be your Eastern Conference.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that. I think that's the question mark for the team. I think your starting 5, I mean, you could argue is top. If that is the lineup they run out, I think they're top, 3 or 4 in the league. No doubt about it. That bench is a bunch of, outside of Andre Drummond, but that bench is going to be a bunch of guys that are not proven yet. You're like you said, you're going to have a rookie. You're going to have Ricky Council Jr., he's not proven. Those are guys that are going to have to eat up 20 minutes a game and keep them in games. So they can put their starters back on the court in the fourth quarter. I think that's the biggest question mark surrounding that team right now, if I'm being 100% honest.
Yeah, but the reality is championships aren't won in July either, though. There's going to be sellers come the trade deadline, and if the Sixers are first, second, third seed in the East, they're going to make a move and they can bolster their bench because teams are always going to be selling. You got teams right now like Brooklyn that are looking to move on and blow it up and, start from scratch. Like, I think you could potentially get a depth piece there, or like just, a bench rotational player from there. So, I mean, I get it. It feels like the Sixers team is incomplete right now. Guarantee you this isn't going to be the team that rolls out there opening night or even the first night of the playoffs, round 1. So still a lot left to be done. And, we see these rosters change all the time, especially those that are going to be in serious contention for a championship.
I think Ricky Council IV will be the guy that the 76ers need to be off that bench. I think having McLean, Ricky Council, and Andre Drummond as your 6th, 7th, and 8th guys is not the worst depth piece in the East. I really don't believe that. But that's okay. We spent 41 minutes on before we move on from NBA free agency and talk about the draft for a minute. Not too long. Draft stunk. I do want Cottrell's opinion on a couple of signings. One of them being Donovan Spider Mitchell re-signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers.
So that one I knew it was coming at some point. I think the biggest surprise for me was that it was a 3-year deal when pretty much all year long it had been reported that he wanted a 4-year deal. So I think that shows me that he wants to try and win in Cleveland, but it also tells me that if Cleveland doesn't make the moves that he wants to still be able to have, a foot out the door and ultimately go compete for a championship while he's still in his prime. And I think them going out and hiring Kenny Atkinson when they knew him and Donovan had a good relationship and felt like that would be a good mesh there, I think that goes with, it aligns with what Donovan is looking for. I will say, though, it's not a good sign when the only move they made this entire offseason so far is signing Donovan Mitchell. Like, how does that make a superstar feel? Like, if you could have went out there and got I don't even know a name to throw out, but Buddy Hield is a name that comes to mind, is just like another shooter or just some guy out there on the wing. Cam Johnson's name's been floated around a lot about Brooklyn wanting to move him. I think that would have potentially had Donovan say, okay, well, they're in this win now mindset. Maybe we can go 4 years here. Let's try and lock this thing up. But when you stay pat on a team that went to the second round last year and lost in 5 to a team that re-signed everybody and everybody else in the Eastern Conference that are serious contenders just got better, I think that says something about where you're at in the landscape of things. And I think ultimately that's probably the biggest reason why Donovan was like, probably should go 3 instead of going 4 and maximize my money here.
Okay. I didn't want to get off NBA free agency without at least talking about that. Let's talk about the NBA draft for a minute. What teams won? What teams lost? What did you like about it? Cottrell, I'm going to start with you. I know you're a big NBA draft guy. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I've made no bones about it. I think this is one of the worst drafts in history. I think that we'll look back at this draft and we will not see one superstar player. You might see an all-star or 2. I do not like this draft to begin with, but there are some players that could be good role players on their teams. What teams did well to you?
I love value-wise. I told you guys last week before the draft, love Dalton Connect. Think him going to the Lakers. If they're serious about moving D'Lo, and he can find a way to, be in that starting rotation and get viable experience starting off, I think that will be good for his career. But winners of the draft for me, it's no doubt about it, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Getting Rob Dillingham, who I think is the best player in the entire draft, and then doubling back in that first round and getting Terrence Shannon Jr., who I thought was a lottery talent, who would have been a lottery, talent or lottery pick had the off the court stuff not come about. I think that's a huge win for that Minnesota team. Those are 2 guys that are going to come right in that you're not spending much money on and be impact players for you. Mike Conley Jr. is getting up there in age, and I think that could be a future starting backcourt for you. Rob Dillingham running with Anthony Edwards. Like I can see that being your future moving forward.
What I think is real important about that is Minnesota lacked scoring. They were great defensively. They had Anthony Edwards, and then outside of Anthony Edwards, they had no real go-to guy. Karl Anthony Towns was it some weeks, some days he wasn't. What they lacked was outside scoring. And when you add Terrence Shannon Jr. and you add Rob Dillingham, you add scoring, a scoring presence, guys that can get buckets, even 6 men. Like, I think Shannon's going to come off the bench, and I think he'll be able to be a bucket for you. You need a 6th man. God, listen, you never think about this 27th pick, but you might have stole Jamal Crawford with the 27th pick in the draft and Terrence Shannon Jr. because he's an instant bucket. That's what he was at Illinois, and that's what he'll be in the league, in my opinion. I don't think that guy's ever going to not be a bucket. He can find buckets anywhere. What teams do you think lost the draft?
I would have said the Spurs. I mean, I think they were sitting there at 4 and 8 and had the possibility to really pull off a big night, and then they traded out of 8 with a pick swap with Minnesota, which I just quite frankly didn't understand with some of the guys left on the board that would have absolutely stepped in to help them last year. So San Antonio, very uncharacteristically, I think had a kind of a misfire on draft night.
For me, I would say the Memphis Grizzlies. I understand getting Edey and trying to pair him with Jaren Jackson and trying to have Jaren Jackson not be run the center anymore for that team, but I don't think Zach Edey fits what they want to do. Memphis is always that team that gets up and down the floor. When you got a 7'4" guy clogging the middle, like I don't think that fits into the mold of what they try to do there. So that was a weird pick for me. I've been out there outspoken saying I don't think Zach Edey is going to be terrible in the NBA. I just think going to Memphis was a really weird fit for the kind of players and the kind of roster they always have and what they throw out there.
I agree with both you guys. I will say this. I think the 76ers did very well drafting Jarrett McCain. Very happy about that pick. Think he's got great energy. I'm not saying he's Tyrese Maxey, but his energy reminds me of a Tyrese Maxey type player. Great big smile, happy to be on the court. He's going to bring nothing but positive energy to your locker room. Hard worker, good defender. He's a little undersized, but he's definitely going to be one of those guys. He was a 5-star recruit. He was a McDonald's All-American, and he played at Duke. So the guy knows basketball, right? And I know you're smirking because you're thinking Bronny James in your head. I know that's where your smirk's coming from, Cottrell. No, I'm talking about Cottrell. But I love the pick for the 76ers. I definitely didn't want Dalton Connect. I told you guys, I don't think his game translates to the next level. I think Lakers fans are super hype on him. I think he'll be a good spot-up shooter for LeBron James to be able to pass the ball out. But I don't think Dalton Connect will translate to the next level. Any other thoughts? What was the smirk for? Tell me what it was.
No reason.
No, it's got to be a reason, bro.
All-American undersized guard being a good fit in the NBA. I mean, sounds familiar. That's all.
Why? The Bronny thing. That's what you're talking about, right?
Just saying. It sounds familiar.
The difference is somewhere. The difference is McCain actually played on Duke and averaged 14 points a game, whereas Bronny played for USC and we couldn't go on a basketball court and average 5 points a game. There's a big difference there.
I get it. One was a first-round pick. One was a second-round pick.
There you go. All right.
One got picked because of how he played basketball. One got picked because of his last name.
Exactly.
That's not the case. Are we getting into this?
Yeah, we can get
no.
I would love to get into it.
No.
He got drafted because of his last name. Say less. He wasn't on anybody's draft board, Cottrell. No one wanted him.
Okay, so why did teams try to work him out?
Because they wanted to get LeBron there. That's why.
But if you knew you're not getting LeBron,
why did all the teams that
weren't
getting LeBron were teams that were in trade talk with LeBron?
Phoenix wasn't getting LeBron. He wasn't going there on the vet minimum. He wasn't going to go there on the vet minimum. It wasn't going to happen. Wasn't going to happen.
Miami tried getting LeBron.
So the interesting thing though too is that on this show we even talked about like before the draft, like how Bronny wasn't this prospect, like he wasn't on anyone's boards, blah blah blah. He went to the combine, had a good showing there, and they were like, "Oh well, we project him to go be a second-round pick," and we blow that off because we're like, "Oh no, they didn't actually mean that."
They projected perfectly. They said we projected 55 to the Lakers.
But even regardless of what their projection was, like if you were actually like watching the second round of the draft, Jay Billis gave you best available players like going throughout. It was like pick 42. Bronny was there in the top 10. So they had him projected in the top 60 of players there.
Cottrell, just take a step back and just realize what's happening here, dude. Like,
okay.
The best thing that could have happened for ESPN was for him to get drafted. If the Lakers didn't take him, he wasn't going to get drafted.
Agreed.
Okay. That is them winning ratings on night 2 of a freaking dumb NBA draft, and then having talking points to fill the second night. That's all that is. That is them putting that name on there so people keep watching. Because if not, nobody's going. Like I'll give them credit. That's probably the only reason anybody watched night 2. I'll give them credit for that. I'll give Bronny all the credit in the world for that. But if he went past LA, he wasn't getting drafted. They would have signed him as a free agent.
In this exact situation, you're right. Like I don't think the teams after LA would have been interested in Bronny. I also don't think that they would have closed off all workouts if LeBron wasn't playing in the NBA still. Like I do think Bron for sure played a huge part in that. Like I'm not naive to that fact, but I'm also not naive to the fact that we're calling out, like everyone's talking about nepotism now when we've never said, we've done this show for 4 years. That word has never come across on any of these shows ever. We've done 195 episodes. We've never said nepotism once on this show. And it happens damn near in every sport you talk about.
Here's the thing. I don't care about the nepotism. That's not my issue whatsoever. I get it. It's the guy's son. He wants to play with him. I don't even care about that. It's the audacity of the Lakers to sit there and have press conference and give interview after interview and say it's not that.
But it doesn't. It's
Bronny couldn't even keep a straight face at his interview when they were asking him, "Oh, how many times have you talked to your dad about this?" He said, "Never." Nobody believes that. It's your son.
Agreed.
No, so why lie about it? Why just say that's my whole point.
Media.
Just say what it is.
Media trained.
LeBron said, "Hey, do me a solid and draft my kid," and this all goes away and nobody gives a shit.
But the thing
the whole
is,
anti-nepotism, the whole anti-this, anti-that. We know why you took him. Just stop lying about it.
Bill, this is my thing here. This is my thing here, right here. This is literally my point, though. Bronny James was a high school All-American, number 20 recruit in his class last year. Going into USC, the reason why he didn't start, well, one, the kid had cardiac arrest, didn't even start going back to USC until the middle of the season in December.
He wasn't going to start regardless of that happened.
You're right. You know why? Because they had the number one player in the class in Isaiah Collier, and they had a fifth-year senior that was in the same class as Tyrese Maxey, who was a top 40 recruit, fifth-year senior in Boogie Ellis, who was incredible for USC until he broke his hand. And you saw him, ultimately go undrafted in the NBA draft. But regardless, my point is that high school All-American in the second round, you draft off of potential. Literally, just last year, almost an identical situation happened with Chris Livingston. I don't know if you guys remember the name. Chris Livingston was a guy who was a high school All-American that went to Kentucky, out of Ohio, that really didn't live up to the hype. Didn't live up to the hype at all while he was at Kentucky. He scored 6 points a game while he was there, came off their bench, really was forgotten about. But guess what? He got drafted in the second round, pick 57 to the Bucks, and guess what the Bucks did contract-wise with him? They signed him to a 4-year guaranteed deal for $7.7 million, and he was on their roster all of last year, averaged 1 point a game last year. But again, Chris Livingston's name never came up once on our show here because the name is really what matters here. If Bronny James' name was Rick Smith and he got drafted out of USC with all the stuff behind him, no one cares. I'm not saying Bronny's going to go to the league and be a great player. I'm just saying we're only even having a discussion about this because his last name is James and his dad is LeBron. That's the only reason why we're having a conversation about it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because if his last name wasn't James, when they got to 55, LA wouldn't have took him.
So why was Chris Livingston drafted last year?
That's their prerogative. Again, I don't care about that. I care. I'm annoyed that Rob Pelinka, LeBron James, JJ Redick, Bronny James all sat up there on that stage and acted and talked to everybody like they were dumb.
Yep.
That's my problem.
That's fine, and I understand that. I'm saying
that's why I'm mad. I don't care about anything else.
I'm saying the flip side of that is that Bronny can play basketball. Bronny was not a high school All-American because he was some scrub. Bronny didn't have all these Division I offers to play basketball just because he was LeBron's kid. Like, Bronny was actually a good basketball player. That's all I'm saying.
We got a comment we have to post up here. It says from one of our listeners, Gene Walzak, Bronny stinks. Okay. Just kidding.
Listen, he's not. Listen,
I'm
to Control's point.
No,
I know. He's not terrible. He's just not ready for the NBA. The different, like, again, that's where it falls. This is where it falls in the nepotism thing. I think I'm CJ or somebody might have said it. If he wasn't LeBron's son, he goes back to school and plays school for one more year and then comes out of the draft.
100%.
So correct. So
LeBron wanted to play with his kid so badly that he forced him into the draft.
Then just say it. Nobody cares. Everybody knows what it is anyway. So just say it.
We see all the time
Bronny James, LeBron never sat
go back
at dinner
to school
table.
that were high school All-Americans that don't pan out, that go in the second round. We literally see it all the time.
Agreed.
Okay.
Just don't tell me that you never sat at the dinner table in the last 20 years of your life.
And I'm with you on that.
Okay, so why lie about it?
Okay. All right.
We
got to move on.
I'm with you.
That's right now.
Guys, we got to move on.
I'm with you.
MLB All-Star. I did. I wanted to give it 2-3 minutes. Gave it 2-3 minutes. We have MLB All-Star. We're going to get into that, and then we're going to get into our trivia. So we got to move. We got to move, boys. We give our All-Star lineups. I'm interested to see what you guys have. Cottrell's going to load them up on the screen. We're going to talk about our MLB All-Star starters. This is who we would have started, who we would have picked in that role, not who we project that would be in the role. Whenever you're ready, big dog.
All right, it's coming up here.
I did it for you quick. I know. I kind of quick transitioned you.
You know how Restream gets. They like to.
It's all right.
I would just like to add that. Okay, good. We're starting in the NL. There's somebody on all three of these lists that was actually just named. He was the first person to be named a starter in the National League.
Who's that?
Because he has that much of the vote. That would be third baseman Alec Bohm for the Philadelphia Phillies.
I have him on my list. I think he should be the All-Star starter.
He should be.
Trey Turner was just named All-Star starter too. But that's okay. He didn't deserve it. Mookie Betts is hurt, and it's fair. But we can get into that. Shally, can you? I don't. Maybe I'm missing something. JT's hurt. He's not going to play in the All-Star game. You think he did enough within the time he played to be the All-Star starter over William Contreras?
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as Mookie. I mean, I don't have Trey Turner on here. I think if Mookie was healthy, he'd be the starter. I think Contreras has slightly better numbers offensively. JT's miles better, but in front of him defensively. I still think JT overall had the better year behind the backstop. If he didn't get hurt, that's who I would have started. I gave the same leeway to Mookie Betts. I think Mookie Betts earned his shortstop starting position. You
were the only one that had a different answer than me and Cottrell both had. Excuse me, Contreras, who's going to start for them anyway. But I just wanted to get your opinion on that so the listeners at home could hear that. We all have Bryce Harper. That was an easy one. Guy's an MVP candidate for the National League, leading vote getter for the National League. So Bryce Harper will start at first base if he plays. I doubt he'll play, just to be clear.
He's not going to play.
Ketel Marte, I almost flipped a coin here. Louis Reyes, Ketel Marte. I think that you can kind of flip a coin here. Ketel's got definitely better like distance numbers, slugging percentage numbers. Luis Reyes has obviously better hitting numbers as far as like batting average and singles. He's got a singles machine. You can flip a coin here. I'm not upset at Ketel. I picked Louis Reyes just because I love what he does. As far as I think a second baseman should be the guy on your team that gets on base, and he gets on base. We all have Mookie Betts at shortstop. We all have Alec Bohm at third. How close were either one of you guys to putting Trey Turner over Mookie Betts?
I was not.
I wasn't either. I know Mookie's been out for, at this point, 2 weeks. Mookie's start of the year was absolutely incredible, and I thought he was on pace to be my favorite for NL MVP before he got hurt. So
I agree with you.
I think Trey is very deserving of being his replacement, but if they were both healthy right now, it was Mookie.
I agree with you, just to be clear. It looks like we all have, Alec Bohm, there's no one really in Austin Riley would normally be your competition at third base. He's had one of the worst first halves of his career, and that's okay. Our outfield is very, very similar. Me and Cottrell have Teoscar Hernandez. Me and Bill have Jerks, and all three of us have Jerks and Profar. And
he's just got Tatis.
He has Tatis over Teoscar Hernandez. And that makes sense. I understand that. I think Teoscar Hernandez is having a better season than Tatis is, but Tatis is definitely the bigger name. He definitely has more votes, and he has more power numbers than Teoscar does. So I understand.
I told you about Teoscar 2 years ago. I was on the Teoscar Hernandez train. He's finally paying off. And he's playing good ball. I will say though, the outfield in the National League was, especially comparative to the AL,
quite possibly the worst it's ever been.
Like it's crazy the difference here.
And some of it is, you've had
Acuna, of course.
Acuna. You have Bryce that's gone from the outfield to the infield. Mookie. Because there you go. You put those three in the outfield, and you're like, oh, that's one of the best, outfields I've ever seen.
Juan moving from
Juan back to AL. Yeah. So it's really bad. For an all-star game, it's really bad. Like it's really, really bad.
Completely agree. We both have Shohei Ohtani and we both have Ranger Suarez. So all three of us, sorry. You guys both have both the same as me. The NL seems pretty easy. Does the AL map out the same way?
I think you've a little bit more flexibility in the AL, but not a ton.
Wow. Guys, I'm not trying to be rude here. I've never seen anything like this. Every starter that we have, by the way, I kind of really do wish I would have moved to Tariq Skubal. To be clear, I'll start a pitcher because we all have a different pitcher. Seth Lugo has the most wins. He has the lowest ERA. I think he deserves to start. Do I think he's the best pitcher? No. But I went off of what the numeric value was. He has the most wins. He has 11. And he has the lowest ERA, 2.12.
Their numbers
over Skubal or Burns? No.
Their numbers are actually, because I was looking at these earlier, their numbers are so like similar. Like you talked about wins and ERA. Like, yeah, he has that. Skubal has more strikeouts than both these guys. He has a lower whip than both of them. Lugo, I think, has the highest whip actually between all three of these guys. Corbin Burns had more quality starts than Skubal. So like it's really it's flipping a three-sided coin here, but between the three of them, in my opinion.
And I love what Showie did at DH. I didn't have the balls to do that because he's not a DH, and I don't know if they'll do that. If they could do that because Bobby Witt's so good and should start, but Gunnar Henderson's basically the runner-up for AL MVP right now. Will they do that, Bill? Is that like a thing that?
No, they won't.
No, they won't because they
already have the finalists already.
Yeah.
Like
the DH the DH is a spot that you officially vote on now. So it'll probably be the guy that you guys both have. I just wasn't leaving him off my team because I was even going to go if I was either going to do it this way or I was going to move him to third and put J Ram as my DH. I think the kid just had too good of a year. Not that Jordan's not having a good year. He's not having, I would say, a typical Jordan first half, but I wasn't leaving Bobby Witt Jr. off my list. It just really boiled down to that.
It's fair. One thing I think is really fun is we have every defensive positional player. We have the same. That's not fun. Was there anybody you were struggling with?
Of the situation.
I did everything in my power not to put Altuve on my list, but
yeah, you could. Every number he had had a Marcus Semien. There's no.
Yeah, I went digging. I went digging for second baseman, but there was just nothing I could do.
For me, obviously, last week I know we went over our midseason awards, and you guys saw I had Bobby Witt Jr. as who I would have at this point. But if you just all-star starter wise, I put Gunnar at shortstop, but I think of all these names here, that was probably the toughest one for me, but it wasn't really tough because Gunnar's so deserving of it as well. I just like what Bobby's done on a KC team that really came in, at least in my opinion, with no expectation, and they've been, excelling so far up to this point throughout the season. And of course, Bobby's had a phenomenal start to the year as well.
By the way, just to give you guys a heads up, the All-Star starters were announced just maybe an hour ago. I'm going to read them out here, Ray. We have every All-Star starter in the American League pegged perfectly. There's not one that's different than our three. So, and in National League, Kettle Marte got to start at second base. Trey Turner got to start at shortstop. Contreras got to start at catcher. And the outfield is Yelich, Jerickson Profar, and Fernando Tatis Jr.
Okay.
So I think that, we've pretty much nailed it for who we picked. We're off by a little bit on one or two, but this is who we thought deserved it. And I think Mookie deserved it more than Trey did. I think Trey got it because Mookie's hurt now. And Trey had a really good night last night. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that led to the votes at the end that gave Trey the edge because Mookie was ahead up until like 48 hours ago.
I think the other thing also becomes it's not like you were saying with Bryce. Like Bryce has like a pulled hamstring. Like, is he good to go like another week and a half from now? Whereas Mookie's injury has more finality to it. Like it's broken. Like we know for a fact he's not playing. Yeah. So I don't know if that swayed a lot of people. And again, Trey's having a very good year since he's come back. He's murdering the ball. But Cottrell said the same. The thing for me was 2 months. 2 months in the season, he was my NL MVP. He was on fire. So sucks for Mookie. I would have liked for him to have still won the starting spot, and then
and just give it to Trey. Yeah, so they both can have it.
They wouldn't though. I don't think Trey Turner gets it unless he gets voted in.
No, but as like an injury replacement, I mean, he wouldn't get the all-star starter moniker.
Now because Mookie won't get counted as making this all-star team now.
Yeah, because he won't make it in off. He won't be a reserve when they know he's not playing.
Yeah.
So if this is the way I see it, right, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, who do you think would have been the all-star starter for the National League if Trey Turner was? Because I know who I would have picked, but I just wanted to know your guys' opinions. Who would have been the all-star starter at shortstop for the National League if Mookie Betts was named the starter? And I think the answer is C.J. Abrams, the kid from Washington. He's had the best year at shortstop that's not named Mookie Betts.
He will probably, he's probably going to end up being Trey's backup. So we'll get all those. I think those will come out this weekend. But again, I feel my thing they could have say, hey, Mookie made it. He was the starter. Trey's the next vote getter. He slides in the starter. They both get their all-star, game appearance, bonus, blah, blah, blah. And then they could have made CJ Abrams Mookie's injury replacement, and then everybody would have went home happy. I just think it sucks for Mookie to have the start that he did, be the leader up until 48 hours up, and now he'll just not even get credit for being an all-star this year at all, which sucks.
I agree with you. Anything else you guys want to add on our all-star starters?
No. I think it'll be really interesting to see the reserves. Obviously, again, we've talked about this as a topic before. Every team's got to have somebody there, so I will be interesting to see how the pitching, rotations fill out, who the reserves are. Again, to Gene's point, I don't know if you could send anybody from Washington but CJ Abrams.
Will they carry 3 shortstops to get Ellie there?
That'll be interesting.
Ellie, I'm going to see who.
Ellie will probably be in that. Ellie will probably be in that category where it's like, hey, they take like 4 popular players that at the end that aren't on, and then you get to vote one of them in. I would assume that's probably where Ellie ends up. I think he has some numbers that pop, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's still hitting. I think he's back down like the 240s. I think he's leading everybody on God's creation and errors. But he's electric. But no, I mean, listen, it's an all-star game. People want to see him. So I mean, I have no problem if he's there whatsoever.
He's stolen 150 bases at this point. So
yeah, agreed.
So all-star game.
I think he'll probably be that last chance fan vote type player. I don't
know who else from Cincinnati makes the all-star team if it's not him. Do they have a pitcher that I'm missing?
I mean, Green's been pretty good. I just don't
Andrew
know.
Abbott is their highest rated WAR pitcher. I just went to look it up. Hunter Green is their highest rated WAR pitcher. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think Green is probably the argument.
So you could put him in last vote and then put him to your representative. You could definitely do that.
The only other person I could see, it wouldn't even make sense, but Jonathan India.
Yeah, but he hasn't played well at all.
He's at 275.
All right. Well,
I'm curious to see who they take from Pittsburgh. I'm assuming it's going to be Skeens, but you gotta. That's where it gets interesting because the teams that are only getting one, then it's like, all right, well, Pittsburgh regardless is going to send a pitcher. So then it's like, do the pitchers all fill up? Because you still have. Even if Ranger's the starter, you can't leave Wheeler out. Wheeler's going to make it. So I mean, it becomes a numbers game. It gets a little tough.
I understand why they do it for viewership and things like that, but I want the MLB to get away from everybody wins, everybody brings a player. Like them being the only league to do that.
I agree with that.
It's time for it. It's time for that to change. Give me the best players.
I agree with that. All right, guys, we're 11 minutes past due. I am ready for trivia time. Let me hold the ticker up there. Let me put the ticker. It's trivia time. Shally still has a 3 lead over myself and Cottrell. Cottrell still waiting to get on the board, but he's got a great trivia question for us this week. He probably geared it towards like a college sport to help Shally out because he's scared of me. Cottrell, it's a joke. I'm just messing with you. It's okay. All right, but we do have trivia time.
That's all. That was what the shake was for.
Let's lay the rules out. Are we doing 3 strikes? Is it a top 10 list?
It is a top 10 list.
Okay.
I feel like 3 strikes would be fair here. I'll give you guys the category though, since you guys are playing. You guys pick the rules. So this is going to be NFL.
Okay.
Most receiving yards not yet in the Hall of Fame. They can be players that, they might not even be eligible yet. Like they haven't been out 5 years yet. It could be players that are still active. It could be players that are old as hell. Like it's and it's not just receivers. Tight ends could be on this list. Not saying how many, but there could be a tight end or 2 on this list. But yeah, most receiving yards not yet in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But hold on, sorry. But they can still be active, or they
could be active. Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ! All right,
Chow. What do you want to do? You want to go first or second? I'll go first.
It's your choice.
I'll go first because I have an easy one, and I want to take the layup off the board.
All right.
Julio Jones.
Yeah. Julio Jones is number 6 on this list.
I'm shocked he's 6. I know another one. It's an easy one, but what's Google say? I love messing with Shally.
Julio was so easy.
I have another easy one.
Not in top 10. I'll go
3 now.
Mike Evans.
That's one, definitely.
Mike Evans is not on this list yet.
I would have got a strike for that. 100% would have got. He has 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Not on this list yet.
All right, I'll go AB.
Antonio Brown is also not on this list yet.
How is that real? That is a wild list right there. AB and Mike Evans aren't on the list. Are you sure you have the right list?
I'm positive.
Are we doing strikes or are we just – I mean, it sounds like we shouldn't do strikes.
Strike a piece.
Shally, it sounds like we should just go until we get – like somebody gets to 5 because we're already at 1 strike and we're going nuts right here with Mike Evans and Antonio Brown not being on the list.
I mean, I feel like we're going to strike out and then just have to switch it anyway. So
correct.
We keep it the way it is for now. 5.
All right.
Is that fair? Or first to 6?
It's what you guys want to do.
Guarantee. Let's go first.
What you guys want to do. And we can go tiebreaker number 11 if we get to that point.
Okay.
Is there 11?
No. There's not 11. I'm saying like if you get 5 on like the next turn, like right after Gene got 5.
Oh, I get it. All right.
I got a couple other like side guesses now that like players that might not have made the Hall of Fame yet that probably should have. That's where I'm
just trying to like Julio was the one that popped. It was like, all right, like he's got to be up there and he's not.
He's only number 6. Julio was only number 6. I thought he'd be 1.
Okay, I literally only have 2 more guesses. I'm in trouble here. I'll go Larry Fitz.
Larry Fitzgerald is number 1 on this list.
Yeah, I didn't realize he wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet. That's probably my fault. Here's another one. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, so I'm probably going to screw myself here. Is Torrey Holt on the list?
Torrey Holt is on this list. He is number 7 on the list.
I got 6 and 7. I'm happy there. I'm trying to think of players that aren't in the Hall of Fame yet that are like really good receivers but just aren't there yet.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track, Control, when I do that?
You are.
Okay. This is a tough list. I love this. I love trivia time.
How about Nuke?
DeAndre Hopkins is number 10 on this list.
See, that how he would be ahead of Mike Evans is beyond me. I wouldn't think that.
Number 10.
Okay.
Great pull, Shally.
Any more active?
No.
Okay. I don't know if he got named in the Hall of Fame. Is Reggie Wayne in the Hall of Fame yet?
Reggie Wayne is not yet in the Hall of Fame, and he is number 3 on this list.
Let's go.
Such a good one.
See, that's where my head's at. I don't know if they're in the Hall of Fame or not. That's my problem. That's my fault.
Well, just to give you guys an update, you have 1, 3, 6, 7, and 10.
Okay, it's fair.
Are any of them tight ends?
One.
There's one tight end.
Can I answer this question?
Yeah, go ahead. Have fun.
Yes, 1.
Wait.
What?
No, I'm shocked that because I thought it was somebody that said no more active. So I kind of got thrown off there.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, he's not. No.
No, I get it. But the other one's got to be in the Hall of Fame.
I have one. I think he got in last class, and I can't remember if he got in or if he didn't, and because I really like him. I think it's going to be a strike. Andre Johnson.
Andre Johnson was in the 2024 class. He's not on this list.
So the only tight end it could be is Tony Gonzalez, but Tony Gonzalez, I thought was a Hall of Famer. I'm going to take the shot at Tony Gonzalez and think that this might be his first year eligibility, and he might have retired from the Falcons in 2019.
Tony Gonzalez is in the Hall of Fame already.
God damn it.
Not on this list.
So what is
That's the only tight end I can think of.
So was it 3-2 and we both have 2 strikes?
Yeah, but the strikes don't matter. We already cut through those out. It's 3-2.
What other tight ends? I don't think Gronk played long enough.
I don't either. I agree with you.
I don't think Kelsey's there.
He's not. He said active. I'm helping.
Wait, so the tight end is active?
No, he said
No.
no more active players.
No more active players. I will say 2 of these are hard. The others are gettable. The other 3 are gettable, in my opinion.
Okay.
Man, I don't think he had that good of a career, but maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, I got a thought process. It's probably not a good one.
This is probably gonna be it for me, but
It's not gonna be it for you. We're going until we get 5.
I don't think he. I don't. It's the only guy sticking in my head that even remotely kind of makes sense. I just don't think he had this good a career. But I'll go Jason Witten.
Jason Witten is number 8 on this list.
It's a great poll.
It's fucking brutal.
It's a great poll. Can I go with Hines Ward?
Oh,
Hines Ward is not on this list.
wow.
I knew he was a Hall of Fame finalist for last year's class. And I knew he didn't make it, so I took a shot. We're 3-3 right now, though.
This is a good question.
I love it. So we got 6 of the 10.
Hines Ward should be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
Not over. He's got a while to wait.
I'm not saying he's a first ballot guy. I just think the way he played the game and just the type of leader and everything he was, and he won a Super Bowl. I think he should be in.
It's a fun question. I love this because my mind's fucking racing.
All right, so we have 4 wide receivers left, correct?
4 wide receivers left, none active. 2 are hard, 2 are not. That's what he's basically telling us.
Yep.
We're missing number 2, bro. That we got to get number 2.
And number 2 and number 4.
I got to guess. I think he's in the Hall of Fame though. That's a bad guess. It's a bad guess.
That's the I'm going through I didn't have Hines Ward, but like I'm going back even from guys from that era, and I'm just like, that's where I'm struggling. I feel like they're all in the Hall of Fame.
I knew Hines wasn't because of the last class.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
got one ready. It's probably going to be a Hall of Famer though.
We said Torrey Holt, right? You got that right? You already said that one?
Mm-hmm.
Harrison's got to be in the Hall of Fame already. Oh my God. I will go. Oh crap! No, he's still shit.
It's interesting. I'm ready.
If you have one, go. I
You're passing your turn?
Yeah.
Okay, I got Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce is not on this list. I believe he's already in the Hall of Fame.
You're probably right. That's where my head's at. I'm just trying to figure out.
That's the hardest part of this.
Well, bro, there's no strikes. Yes. You know what I mean? Like at this point, we're out of strikes. It's 3-3. We got to get the first one to 5 is going to win. 4 wide receivers. I'm trying to think guys that retired recently.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I got one. I 100% have one. 100% have one. It's just locked in.
I'm literally going back from like through like all my fantasy teams that like I've ever had.
Facts, Justin, because I feel like that's where we're headed. We're headed to 4-4 with both of the hard ones left.
I'm telling you, bro, I have one.
All right, this is like the first like
I have
like the first go-to guys that like I ever like had. I had him like 3 years in a row, and he was a stud. I don't know if he has the numbers. He's probably not in the top 10.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna go Anquan Bolden.
Okay. I'm not.
Anquan Bolden is number 4 on this list.
Wow. AJ Green.
Oh
AJ
shit!
Green is not on this list.
What?
Oh my God! I thought same draft class as Julio. You're up 4-3, brother. You get 5, you win, and the easy one's still there. Number 2.
Number 2 is still available.
Anquan Bolden was a pull, bro. That was a pull.
I had him for.
I would not have guessed him.
What was the guy's name from Tampa Bay? He recently passed away.
Vincent Jackson.
Yes. I had Bolden for 3 years, and then I went to him, and I remember I didn't get Bolden the 4th year in a row, and I had to take him, and that was the year he had like those 3 games where he went like over 200 yards like 3 times in the same season. Oh God, it's the only reason I remember it.
I got a couple more guesses, but it's not going to be number 2, so I don't know why I'm. And the hard ones are hard ones like old players?
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
One of them. Not like super old. This other one, let me see how old.
Oh God, this is even before me. We're not going to get
it. Definitely a while ago.
Oh Jesus!
I was so confident. I thought AJ Green, same draft class as Julio.
You literally said AJ Green. I was like, that's absolute. Like, I'm like, we're tied again.
I'll say.
You said Mike Evans. I said it. Good.
I'll say this. You've definitely both seen them play. You've seen everyone else on this list play at like an adult age. Now, I'm not going to say you were like grown or like 35 or 40. Like, I'm not saying it's like now.
All the players left, we've all seen at adult age.
At some point, whether it was the tail end of the career or the beginning of their career, yes.
Yep.
So this guy was still playing when I was 18, 1998.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I take that. Okay. Bill's seen them all in their adult years.
There it is.
Gene, you might have been high teens.
I think I know. Can I go? Can you pass?
Go ahead.
Art Monk.
Art Monk is in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Oh.
I got to punch up in the lane in the chest.
A lot of good names.
I got another one that was on that Bucks team, that Dolphins team. Am I close? Did I see a smirk? Am I close?
I think
he was a Seahawk, a Buck, and a Dolphin.
I'm trying to think of who you're thinking of.
I want a Gene guarantee. Are any of these obvious?
I mean, I think number 2 is like.
It's a household name.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to get? Larry Fitz. Who else is he?
I think I know number 2.
Go ahead.
Wes Welker.
Oh.
Wes Welker is not number 2.
Okay. He played a long time, had a good career.
He did.
I love how, like, Cottrell poo-poos that. Like, it's not like a Joey Galloway.
Joey Galloway is not on this list. Even if you got Wes Welker, like, that wouldn't have been like the aha, like, yeah, no, that guy definitely. That's why I made the face.
Okay.
Wes Welker could have been like 9, I guess, ish, you know, somewhere. You are still missing 9 for what it's worth, but 2, you're going to be like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Okay. Can I go again? I'll keep naming them. Shally's taking forever. We're running out of time. The show's going to end.
The show must go on.
Did one of them play for the Broncos?
I don't know. Did they?
If it is, I know it.
I throw it out there.
I'll go Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall's not on this list. All right, Gene, let's go.
Art Monk. I said Art Monk.
You just said Art Monk.
Hold on. I didn't know I had said him. Hold on.
Still in the Hall of Fame. He's still there.
Still there. Yep.
Still there.
Okay.
I checked. Yep. Still in can.
Sterling Shepard. Or Sterling Sharp. Sorry.
Sterling Sharp is also in the Hall of Fame.
Silicon, what?
Chuck Silicon. That's what she thought Gene said.
Sterling Sharp didn't get hurt. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer.
Megatron's in the Hall of Fame.
I think he is still a Hall of Famer.
He might have been. I think his numbers would have been.
Screw you, Justin.
What do you say?
Art Monk's still wrong. Screw you, Justin.
It's fair.
I said Isaac Bruce.
No, he's in the College Football Hall of Fame, not the actual NFL Hall of Fame.
Okay. So I say we give 2 more guesses and then we're done.
Can we get NFC or AFC?
4-4. Yeah, I mean, I can throw, or is it 4? No, it's
4-3.
4-3.
We still have 3 left.
4-3.
I say we get 2 more guesses and then we're done. Just be done with it.
Do you want me to give you guys the years these guys stopped playing?
Sure.
Would that help?
All right.
So one of them, 1998.
Okay.
Oh, jeez.
That was the one I thought was Art Monk, which is why I kept saying it. Seriously.
One of them was 2000.
Okay.
And one of them was
I know it.
2016.
I know it.
2016.
Can I go?
No.
98, 2000, 2016.
The 2016 is number 2, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is dumb. Wait, maybe not. I think yeah. Is he a little guy?
I don't know.
I'll go Steve Smith.
Steve Smith is number 2 on this list.
He was a Hall of Famer.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Well, Shally wins. That's it. I'm going to take my 2 guesses see if I can get the 2 old guys, though.
Okay.
Is Andre Reed on the list?
Andre Reed is not on this list. That's a good pull, though.
James Walton?
No.
That's a really good one.
Walter's
not? Well, I think.
How about Mark Clayton or Duper?
That's what I thought you were going to say earlier.
Shally won. It's over. Who are the last two?
Is
Last two.
Is Lofton in the Hall of Fame?
That I don't know.
I think he is.
Last two though are Henry Ellard.
Fuck is that?
And Irving Fryer.
Oh, I can't.
Really?
Irving Fryer.
Irving Fryer.
Damn, we didn't get an Eagle. That's not good.
All right. Well, shall we?
Who was the other guy?
Henry Ellard.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
yeah, he was a receiver with the Rams. Looks like for the majority of his career, and then he ended his career in Washington.
Well, next week I have the trivia.
Art Monk.
James Lofton is in the Hall of Fame. By the way,
James Lofton was a good one, Gene.
So is Andre Reed. Andre Reed is also
Andre Reed was a good one too.
For what it's worth, Art Monk is in between Irving Fryer and DeAndre Hopkins. He's just in the Hall of Fame.
That's fair.
Some other names you guys said. Brandon Marshall is right underneath. He's 4 yards behind DeAndre Hopkins for number 10.
Crazy.
Antonio Brown is
where is he at?
60 yards behind. He's 64 yards behind DeAndre Hopkins.
And what are their totals? Like, because after he took Julio, I thought Mike Evans was a gimme.
So did I.
Mike Evans right now is at 11,680, and just put it in comparison, DeAndre Hopkins is at 12,355.
So he's right there, still playing.
Yeah, he'll pass. He'll be there. All right.
And then the one other one that you guys, well, I guess two real quick. Hines Ward's at 12,083, so he's right there, like 300 yards off. And then Travis Kelce, Gene, is the one I know you were thinking of. He's at 11,373. So most likely he will move up into the top 10 this upcoming season.
That's a good question, Cottrell.
Great one. I'll have the question next week. I'll make sure it's geared towards Cottrell so we can get him on the board. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yes, I still have that cough, by the way, Keisha.
Yeah, what the hell? You didn't cough at all last night.
Yes, dude. It's like I don't know, bro. I can't get rid. I can't shake it. Everything's gone. The cough just won't leave.
Long haul COVID.
That's probably what it is. All right. Well, we got to move on. We got NFL kickers list. Let's talk about it. We've released our 10 through 6, which, by the way, kind of got a couple people be like, "Hey, is that your list?" No, it's our 10 through 6. We're gonna do our top 5 now. We're going to give our top 5 kickers, and the list will be shorter, obviously, but you'll be able to see it. Well, there's the baseball. Here's our top 5 kickers, and it looks like we're pretty same here. Cottrell with Dustin Hopkins. I love it.
I cannot believe none of you guys had him on your top 10 list. That is criminal.
No, it's not.
His stats, if you look at a blank piece of paper and put no names, his stats look damn near identical to Jake Elliott. Like, damn near identical.
He kicks 40-yard field goals all year.
He was 8 for 8 from 50-plus yards. Most in the league at 100%. Try again. Try
Sanders is 7 for 7, but he had 2 over 55, which I know he didn't.
And Dustin Hopkins also, he had a 57-yard game winner, and he kicks in Cleveland. Jason Sanders kicks in 95-degree weather in Miami with an open dome.
Okay. Well, let's get into our lists. Since Cottrell's the only one to have Dustin Hopkins, he could start.
Look, as quiet as it's kept from last year, Dustin Hopkins should have been your your AFC representative in the Pro Bowl for kickers. He was the best kicker in the AFC last year, even better than Justin Tucker, who we all know is the GOAT, but for his, not even just for his standards. In general, Justin Tucker had a down year last year. Not all his fault. He had kicks, blocked, things like that. We know what he can do. But as far as Dustin Hopkins goes, he only missed 3 field goals all of last year. He was 8 for 8 from 50-plus, had the 57-yard walk-off field goal that I mentioned. And I want to say he kicked 6 game-winning field goals throughout the course of the year last year. Dustin Hopkins was absolutely incredible for what he did for Cleveland last year. And he was in a spot where, Cleveland was in a bunch of tight games with all the injuries that they had. We knew if we trotted him out there, he was going to end the game for us every single time. Dustin Hopkins deserved to be top 5, and I put him right where he belonged, number 5.
I'm going to go with the guy who didn't miss a kick at all last year. Came out of nowhere. Kid that got drafted or didn't get drafted out of Notre Dame. I believe he went I don't know if he was in one of the other leagues or the Arena Football League or something. Dallas found him, brought him in, of course. Yeah, everything works out for Dallas usually, but got to give the kid credit.
Playoff games.
What?
Except playoff games.
Yeah. But kid didn't miss a kick in the regular season. It was perfect. They weren't all short. Granted, I mean, I know he kicks in Dallas, which is, more of a friendly confines per se, but the kid, I mean, he's the only person on this list, no matter where you look, that didn't miss a kick last year. So number 5 for me. I don't think he's going to quite duplicate that this year, obviously. But he's on the scene now, and he deserves the respect for what he did last year. And kid's got a big leg. I think he still has another good year. I just don't think he's going to be perfect, but number 5 for me.
Guy last year that I think he got a lot of flack. He's a little bit lower on a lot of people's lists. Evan McPherson. He didn't miss a kick from within 50 yards last year. Now he was 4 for 7 on over 50 yarders, which is his calling card. But Evan McPherson is a top 5 kicker in all football. This is a projections list. I think Evan McPherson takes his rightful place in the top 5 once again. I'll go with Money McPherson at number 5. Number 4, I got Harrison Butker. I think Butker showed you year after year he can kick from distance. He can kick short. The only thing the kid's got a problem with is extra points. I have no idea why he misses so many extra points. But other than that, Butker is as money as it gets, particularly at playoff time. I have him number 4.
Number 4, I'm going Jay Sanders, Miami. Like I said, from 49 plus, he was 7 for 7 last year. Had a 57 and a 58 yarder to boot. I understand he kicks the Miami's home games. He also goes to Buffalo and New England, places like that, at the end of the season. So he's not kicking in, perfect conditions all the time. Dude has steadily climbed up my list since we started the show. I've been a big fan of him for a long time. Lands at number 4. He's an elite kicker in the NFL. He is what he is. Gets a lot of chances with that high-powered offense they have, and he just continues to convert. So he's right around 87%, I think, last year overall. Again, he's become an elite kicker. So number 4 for me.
My number 4 is a guy who's probably the 3rd best talent-wise kicker on this list. I got Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. The only reason why he's this low for me is that I think with the Eagles getting Saquon Barkley and just what they brought in with Kellen Moore, I think they're going to put the ball in the end zone a lot more. And a lot of times where you saw Jake Elliott kick some long field goals, those are going to be getting punched in for touchdowns. And so I just don't think his numbers are going to be there with the 3 guys that I ultimately have ahead of him. Jake Elliott's a guy who is consistently calm under pressure. I think his long last year was 61 yards. He's absolutely incredible for the Eagles. And again, he's a guy that they know they trot out there with the game on the line. They trust him to go win that game for them. Number 3 is arguably talent-wise at this point, at least trending towards being the best kicker in the NFL whenever Justin Tucker decides to retire, and that's Brandon Aubrey. Like Bill mentioned, he was incredible last year, really didn't miss a kick all last year, has a strong leg, hit a 60-plus yarder for Dallas. I mean, that's about as automatic as a weapon as you can ask for. I know he was in Dallas, and I know, they got a dome, but wherever they were, Brandon Aubrey didn't miss. And for him to be a young kid that's completely undrafted, I think that the sky is the limit for him. And if that's the performance that he put up in his rookie season, I think moving forward, he's only going to be more calm and more collective under pressure. So love Brandon Aubrey's projection at number 3 this upcoming year.
Number 3, I'm going with Jake. I'm going with our guy for the Eagles. I think every year, he's kind of gotten overlooked, for the last couple of years. And last year, got a Pro Bowl nod finally. And people are, kind of really starting to see what he is. The kid has made big kick after big kick after big kick for this Eagles team last 4 or 5 years. We have the walk-off 60, I think there's 61 or 62 yards against the Giants. He's just steady as can be, man. Kid has ice in his veins, 48 yards, anywhere 52. Philly is not an easy place by any means to kick in the second half of the season, along with, going up to the Meadowlands where it's, known for swirling winds, stuff like that. And then Washington's no cupcake. Dallas is easy. But, the kid is just proven to be one of the best kickers in the league. He's steadily climbed up this list, and he continues to. I don't think he just has the top end, quite the top end of the two guys I have ahead of him, but I mean, a little bit of a homer bias for me, but he's on the other two guys' list too. So Jake Elliott absolutely is a top 5 kicker in the NFL right now.
I don't think it's homer bias at all. Brandon Aubrey's number 3 for me. And by the way, I heard a stat that was listed earlier that he didn't miss a kick. He missed 2 kicks, and he missed them in January. And that's important times to miss kicks. He missed them both versus Washington. Brandon Aubrey was 36-38 last year. He was a very good kicker, but he kicks in Dallas, kicks in a dome. I will never give you the benefit of the doubt over guys that kick in rain, guys that kick in inclement weather. My number 2 is Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott kicked a 59-yard field goal in a storm to send the game into overtime. That's what superstars do. He's a hero, and everyone should know about it. Jake Elliott's number 2.
Gene, real quick, I know we have been rebuttaling, but you said he missed 2 kicks in Washington. So what about the other 16 weeks of the year?
So he's 36-38. Jake Elliott was 32-34. Jake Elliott kicks in a way tougher environment and kicked a 59-yard field goal to send it in overtime. They both missed 2 kicks last year. Jake Elliott kicks in a harder.
No. I'm fine with you having Jake Elliott ahead of him. I'm saying with Brandon, like,
he's a Cowboy.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. Hey, said my piece.
Good.
Number 2, I'm going with Harrison Butker. Gene mentioned earlier, for some weird, he's got some kind of mental thing with he would randomly just shank an extra point. It's just really weird. But to see this guy kick in cold weather, if you've never tried it before, Kansas City in January or February, he is kicking a rock. To kick a rock straight in the wind and kick it 55, 60 yards and make it is a different level of kicker in the NFL. The Super Bowl winner, no matter, however you feel about, him personally or his politics or whatever, the dude can absolutely kick the hell out of a football. I promise you, when it's really cold outside, go to the winter, in the winter, go to your like a local football field and try to kick a pumped up football 40 yards and watch what happens to your foot. It's fun. Harrison Butker's number 2 for me.
Harrison Butker's number 2 for me as well. I do think a lot of his playoff luster is probably why he's on this list. Wasn't necessarily, phenomenal by any stretch of the means, like during the regular season last year. Always been consistently good. I think last year he got bit a little bit by the injury bug during the year. But Harrison Butker's a guy who I trust to go out there or make a 50-plus yarder under any condition, similar to what Bill said. I think with Kansas City as well, I don't love their offense. We saw how it struggled last year throughout the regular season as well. I think they're going to have to rely on him to make some long kicks just because they can't consistently punch the ball into the end zone, and Harrison Butker's going to deliver for you. So I like him at 2. But number 1, even if I don't think that numbers wise that, last year he was anywhere close to where he should have been, Justin Tucker's the GOAT. And I think numbers wise, he wasn't there because, like I mentioned before, a lot of his kicks got blocked. But when anytime the pressure is big or, there's a lot of pressure on him or the moment is big, Justin Tucker is going to deliver. He can kick from anywhere on the field. Hell, they trotted him out there for 66 yarders 2 years ago, and he went out there and walked the game off. Justin Tucker's the best kicker in football. He's the best kicker of all time. He's going to continue to be number 1 on my list at least until he retires.
Tucker's still number 1. He missed 5 field goals last year. 2 of them were blocks, and 2 of the misses were from 60-plus yards. I think after he hit that field goal in Detroit, I think Harbaugh gets a little out of control with him sometimes. And to his credit, Tucker is sitting there in his ear, jumping up and down, saying, "Send me out there," for like a 64-yarder in like the rain. And they try it, and he'll miss it by like 3 yards. But they consider he's so good, they consider that a higher percentage play than telling Lamar to go throw the ball in the end zone in a Hail Mary. That's where we're at with Justin Tucker. That's why he's a different level. That's why he's a GOAT. They have that much confidence in him, and he's pulled it off that many times in his career that they'd rather try that than just throwing a jump ball in the end zone. That's how good he is. If you really want to break it down, it's still Justin Tucker and it's everybody else. That's it.
So I completely agree with you. And I'll add this to it. Justin Tucker, once again, last year did not miss a kick in December or January. So you can say what you want about him throwing out there and kicking field goals in November or October, him trying to kick the ball 65 yards because Harbaugh has, let's see how far he can kick it. Justin Tucker is the best kicker in the league. And he's not only the best kicker in the league, he's the most clutch kicker in the league. He doesn't miss game winners either. And he does it in Baltimore. He does it in a rainy, windy atmosphere. So I give Justin Tucker all the credit in the world. He's the best kicker I've ever seen. He's my number one.
All right.
Do want to wrap up just quick UFC before we get in? You got to be kidding me. There's not too much to wrap up here. I do want to give it.
Are we going safeties next week?
Yeah, safeties next week. Right? Am I missing something?
Just want to make sure.
Okay. We'll do safeties next week. We'll do the same thing. Top 5 will be on to show the whole top 10 list. We'll be listed on the page. We'll release our 10 through 6 on the page before the show, so you can kind of see where our heads are at. But I do want to, before I get into the main 2 fights of UFC 303, I do want to talk about a fight that I thought was very interesting. If you watched the UFC 303 card, which I did, Ian Machado Gary versus MVP was probably the most entertaining fight of the night. Outside of obviously the knockout was super entertaining, but it was a great entertaining fight. I thought Ian Machado Gary would dominate that fight. And in the first round, it looked like he was going to. Took him down, had full control of him. MVP dominated the second round, Michael Venom Page, and it was a really good fight. Third round, it looked like it was Michael Venom Page's round to lose. And with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the round, he got taken down. Machado Gary stayed on top, did more damage, ultimately won the fight 29-28 on all scorecards. I want to give credit to that fight because, in my opinion, it was the closest fight of the night. Anybody else have a comment on that one?
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think it was the best fight, and I think everybody that a year and a half ago thought Ian Gary was just going to start walking through the division. Now that he's gotten into the upper ranks, every fight he has is starting to get a little bit closer. Still got a ways to go, but Michael Venom Page gave him everything and then some that he wanted on Saturday night.
2 biggest trash talkers in all of UFC, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny too because to both of your points, because you just talked about 2 biggest trash talkers, which is true, and you talk about everybody thought Ian Gary was going to be walking through everybody. Funniest comment I saw that came from this weekend it said Ian Gary talks like Connor and he performs like Bilal. And I think that's like so perfectly spot on for him. Throughout the press conferences, he was talking about how he was going to knock out MVP and how he was going to not really, be too much for him and things like that. And you saw Gary take the fight to the ground, which I really wasn't expecting, at least at that point in the fight.
It took one right hook from Michael Venom Page.
Yeah, he said, "You know what? Let's not stand and bang with MVP for 3 rounds.
Yep,
like, let's be a little bit more tactical here and work on what we know." And that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, give credit to him for doing that and not having too much pride to do that. But I also think it says something about like when you talk like that and then you go out there and perform like that. Like Max Holloway can talk like that, but then he can go out there and back it up. Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, like those guys can really say, and not even saying they're the craziest trash talkers, but they can go out there and they can back that up. Ian Gary is winning. He's backing it up that way, but you're not standing toe to toe with a lot of these guys. But I'll give Ian Gary his credit. He went out there, he did what he's supposed to do against MVP, and now he's probably one more win away from a legit title shot that he's earned. And I thought it was a great fight, but I think Ian Gary, he's gonna start writing checks that his hands can't cash.
I agree with you. I will say this. If the MVP of the night wasn't Alex Pereira with his knockout, which was incredible over Yuri Prochazka, he probably almost knocked him out at the end of the first round. The bell saved Yuri 100%. And then the second round just knocks him out right away. The MVP tonight for me was Dan Ige. What a story that was. You want to talk about a guy that took a fight with 4 hours notice. That is unbelievable. And not only did he take the fight, he competed in that fight. That was a very, very good fight versus a very game fighter. Now, I'll give credit to Diego because Diego Lopez was supposed to fight that fight at 145. Then up until fight night, the day before, they moved it to 155 to a catchweight because
Brian Ortega.
Ryan Ortega could not make 145. He was sick. So they were going to fight at 155. Ortega drops out of the fight. He fights at a 165 catchweight versus Dan Ige, which is 20 pounds above what he was training to fight at. And these two guys saved the pay-per-view because it was a very good fight. It was a competitive fight. And Dan Ige walked away from that fight in better graces with the UFC than he ever could have. I've never seen a guy gain so much respect in a loss than Dan Ige did that night.
Oh, Dana White's already come out and said that Dan Ige basically is going to be able to get whatever he wants. And Dan Ige has come out and said that he wants to fight at the Sphere for 306. So, you have to definitely give all the credit in the world to him. I think it's very unfortunate as well with Brian Ortega. I don't want to necessarily kill him or shit on him for this. I'm not even saying that you did, but Brian Ortega was originally, a fight replacement as well. So it's not like, it came all the way down to it and then he just pulled out. Like, he was trying to get his body there. Cutting weight is tough. And he just couldn't ultimately get there in time in that short notice and be ready to fight. You kind of see it on his face in the weigh-ins. But with that said, got to give all the credit in the world to Dan Ige for stepping up. And like you said, Gene, not just stepping up, but also being ready to fight and being in that fight and putting himself in a position to potentially even win that fight. And on the flip side of it, give a ton of credit to Diego Lopez as well. That's a guy who was expecting at this point 3 different opponents throughout this course of his training camp, and he didn't let that dissuade him. He could have pulled out after Brian Ortega said, "Hey, I'm not fighting anymore," and the UFC said, "Hey, we want to throw you in there with Dan Ige on 4 hours notice or whatever." He could have said, "Hey, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't feel comfortable enough doing that." But he didn't. He went out there, he fought, he did what he had to do, and he got a win. It's tough. And I know he was in camp for as long as he was, but it is so tough when you're training for one guy for as long as you are. And then not only does it get switched to Brian Ortega, but then it gets switched over to Dan Ige. Like, those are 3 completely different fighting styles that you're going to be going in the cage with. So give credit to Diego Lopez for staying consistent and still winning that fight, but also Dan Ige for going in on short notice and putting forth the performance that he did.
Charlie, any comments there?
No, I mean, you guys both hit everything. I mean, like you guys brought up, that's like Dana White's wheelhouse, man. Dana White loves that shit. If somebody steps up to help him and save the day and go in and compete and fight your ass off like that, those are Dana White type guys. So, to both your points, to step in there in 4 hours and put on a show like that, and the legitimate gave himself a shot to win. It was fun to watch. It's just a really cool story. And you will probably guaranteed to see him at 306 in the Sphere.
And I almost guarantee you the next time that Dan Ige the next time that they have a fight at 155, let's say it's Islam versus Arman or something like that. If Arman gets sick day of or Islam pulls out like last minute, Dan Ige is gonna get that. I'm trying to think. What's the guy that Khabib stepped in and fought for the interim belt?
He fought. I remember. I know. I forget the name. I know.
But he's gonna be a situation similar to that where this guy is gonna be ranked like number 10, number 11, and Dana White's gonna be like, you know what? You did me a solid. I'm gonna throw you in here, even if you lose. I'm giving you your shot just to return the favor for what you did for me.
You're absolutely correct. I agree with you.
Ali Quinta. That's the guy who I'm thinking about.
That's it. I literally was looking out for you right now. Do want to talk about the absolute sociopath, the absolute axe murderer that Alex Pereira is. That guy shows no emotion, bro. That guy is scary. I've never seen a guy in the ring that just looks like I'm not kidding with you. He reminds me so much of like Rocky IV, Drago.
Say that.
Like, I must break you. You will lose. And just like murders human beings. What Yuri Prohashchik said it was an early stoppage. I promise you, he will not be saying there was an early stoppage in this fight because he should have got knocked out in the end of the first round and the bell saved him. He got popped. That fight was over. He started the second round, got kicked in the head, and then Herb Dean let it go a little bit more. And I'm
Just
telling
to
you
make
right
sure.
now, man, it's scary, man. I don't know who's going to fight Alex. And if I forget the idiot's name that keeps going on podcasts and saying that he just lost to him, Jamel Hill, keeps going on podcasts. Well, yeah, he said I got hit in the nuts and then he caught me off guard. Jamel Hill, you're not beating him. Stop it. The only person that's going to beat Alex Pereira is a guy like Daniel Cormier, not Daniel now, but a guy like Daniel Cormier who can wrestle and get him on his back, because him standing up is going to knock you out. I don't know what's next for him. Is he going to go up and fight John at heavyweight? I think that's a huge mistake for the UFC, because what you're doing is you're taking one of your biggest rising stars and you're putting up against John Jones. And John Jones is fast enough, strong enough, quick enough, and a good enough wrestler that he will embarrass Alex Pereira at heavyweight. So if I'm Alex, I stay at 205 and I keep getting money fights and I keep knocking people out. The talk about him and John Jones is a nice payday, but a mistake for him and for the UFC. Your thoughts?
I think there's work for John to be done at heavyweight. First, obviously, he's going to fight Stipe. And then after that, I mean, I think Tom Aspinall would have to be the next guy up on that list for John to fight. As far as Pereira goes, I think it would make the most sense. You know, the name they keep throwing out there is Magomed Ankalaev, which I think could make a lot of sense because he is a strong wrestler. I think that could be, you know, a matchup that would be interesting. Another name that comes to mind for me would be Jan Blachowicz, former light heavyweight champion. Yeah. We know he can wrestle a bit. He's going to be a bit heavier too. So if it does come down to wrestling, like, he may be able to take down Pereira. But this was an absolutely incredible performance from Alex. And again, these are two guys who were not scheduled to be on this card. They took this fight within 3-4 weeks notice, something like that. And both of them came in ready to go, and they went out. This fight lasted. It went exactly how I thought it would go. It just ended with an Alex Pereira win instead of a Yuri win. I knew these guys would just be throwing them, taking all kinds of crazy shots to the head, and that's exactly what this was. At this point,
Alex took a shot.
What'd you say?
I don't think Alex took a shot.
No, yeah, but I mean, I more so mean they were just like, Yuri was definitely saying, "Hey, if I go out, it's going to be because you knocked me out.
I give credit.
I'm going to try and knock you out first."
I give credit to that. I agree with that.
But as far as Pereira goes, I mean, I do this all the time with the rising stars. At what point are we going to start talking about Alex Pereira's legacy? This point, he's beaten 5 either former or current world champions in the sport. He's a name that's, you look at his resume, it's up there with the best of them. The fun one that we always throw out is Khabib, just because me and Dean go back and forth.
He's 11-2, dude. Stop it.
I'm not saying he's better than Khabib.
You just love doing this shit.
He's beat more champions than Khabib. I'm not saying he's better all time. He's
in
a better
the worst
fighter
weight
than
division
Khabib.
in the UFC.
But he's also did it at one. He also did it at 185 when he beat Izzy.
Yeah, you're right. He beat Izzy. That was it.
He also
knocked him out cold.
He also beat Sean Strickland, who was a former champion in the division.
Good for him. You can't compare him to a 29-0 champion. Stop it.
I'm saying he's beat 5 former champions. Khabib beat 4. That's all I was saying. I'm not saying he's better than Khabib.
That's the kiss of death, is when Cottrell gives you the Kamaru Usman's better than Khabib, and then he gets knocked out 3 times in a row. That's a kiss of death from Cottrell. So now expect Alex Pereira to get wrestled in his next fight and lose the title because Cottrell put that on him.
Or he could just retire and we just talk about how great he is.
29-0 is a lot different than 11-2.
I mean, maybe Alex should have went out to Eagles kickboxing gym and beat 10 amateur opponents.
Have fun, brother. Good luck. Good luck trying. You're really pressing your luck here.
Kazakhstan Premier Fighting proudly presents.
Let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me. I'll start with Cottrell for being an absolute dope for bringing up Alex Pereira in the same name as Khabib Nurmagomedov, who, by the way, Dana White says is the second best fighter in UFC history behind John Jones. So I guess Dana has no idea what he's talking about.
Do you say that? No.
I have him 4th. I don't go nuts. I have him 4th. You have him like 75th.
6th, actually.
Who else do you have in front of him?
I have Anderson, GSP, and John Jones.
and I also have Mighty Mouse and Jose Aldo.
Oh, see, that's tough for me.
Bro, people forget Aldo pre-Connor knocking him out.
I get it, but
right.
I'm just saying.
I think Aldo's had a great career, just to be clear. But I mean, there is something to be said about fighting way past your prime.
I don't hold that against fighters as much as other people do. Like, so I understand it.
Yeah.
But I personally just don't hold it against.
Oh, yeah, but he lost 6 out of his last 9 fights. I get it. Let's talk about, you got to be kidding me. You're up, Cottrell. We're at over 2 hours at this point.
All right, so my you got to be kidding me is more of like a compound at this point. But mine's going to be USA Soccer. The first part of this is going to be because if you guys didn't see, USA had a game yesterday and they ultimately lost 1-0, and it was on a goal that should have been ruled offsides. It ultimately wasn't ruled outside. They went to VAR. They said it wasn't offsides. I don't know how you look at it on video replay and say that isn't offsides. Like, it was clear as day. If you're playing FIFA, that's called offsides. I know people at the high school level that are calling that out offsides without VAR. So absolutely disgraceful call. The refs were very one-sided in that game as a whole. That game was a joke. But outside of that, though, the U.S. shouldn't have been put themselves in that position as a whole. And the second part is the USA team for not making it out of the group stage. This U.S. team, I go out on a limb and say, and I might be crazy for saying this, but in my opinion, I think this era of USA men's soccer is the most talented bunch we've ever seen put on the jerseys. And for them to just keep coming up short in these situations, in these big time tournaments and underachieving, it's just not okay. When you have this talent, you have to capitalize on it. All these guys are young. You have the stars. You have Gio Reyna. You have Pulisic. You have Tim Weah. You have a ton of stars on this team. Start to win some damn soccer matches because you guys are great enough to do so. I need the country to start taking it serious. Figure out what you got to figure out at the helm if that's what it takes. But for me this week, Team USA, the refs in the USA game, and just the country as a whole for not getting it figured out yet on the pitch.
Kidding me.
I love that one.
So I don't have one because I was going to do the whole Bronny, all that crap that we got into earlier. I will tell you this. I will give you two. Tim Weah could have been, you got to be kidding me, by himself for picking up a
true for the red card. You're right.
But I would
take mine.
I'm not.
Okay.
But is yours soccer related?
No. Sorry.
No. But secondly, I have played the sport since I was like 8 years old through high school. Obviously, like Cottrell, I'm a big soccer fan. I've watched thousands of soccer games at this point in my life through all levels of soccer. It was the most poorly officiated soccer game I've ever seen in my life. Not the reason they lost. They played like crap. I'm not being excuses for them, but I'm telling you that it's the worst officiated soccer game I've ever watched ever in my life. That guy should not be allowed anywhere near a major sanctioned soccer match ever again. Like, so far over his head, it was incredible. And Bullholder's got to be fired. To Cottrell's other point, this is the most talented group we've ever had. It's not close. It's not close at all. Burkhalter's just not getting anything out of them. They got to go a different direction. They got to do it fast because there's limited games left between now and the rest of World Cup qualifying. So they got to get it done.
All right, my you got to be kidding me this week is a really easy one. I didn't have a good one up until maybe like I'd say 12 hours from now. Maybe last night I seen it. My you got to be kidding me is Howard Eskin of the Philadelphia WIP sports radio. He was banned from Citizens Bank Park for an unwelcome kiss that he tried giving an Aramark employee that she's like, I don't like 73-year-old Howard Eskin, who's been in the Philadelphia media for 50 years, thinks that it's okay to walk up to Aramark employees inside Citizens Bank Park and give them kisses. I've had enough of men that unwelcomed advances, men have a lot of money that think this is okay to do things like that. I think Howard Eskin has always been a creep. He always reminded me of creep. He's an old Cowboys fan that converted to an Eagles fan. He's always been a weirdo. He gets on the radio. I can't stand listening to him on the radio. Calls fans dopes and idiots because he thinks he's smarter and knows more. You're also talking about the same guy that ran with the tweet from a fake account a couple years ago that I published on Wire2Wire to show you guys what a fraud this guy is. Went into Citizens Bank Park after the Philadelphia Phillies game and made an unwelcome advance on an Aramark employee, a girl trying to just do her job. Howard Eskin, you're dope. You're dope. And for that, this week, you got to be kidding me.
Kidding me.
I find it very telling that the Phillies banned them, and then the Sixers turn around and ban them, and the Eagles haven't done anything yet.
I find it very telling that his son went on the radio and basically said, "I'm not my father. I don't want to have to answer questions for him. Me and him are very different people." He didn't go out there and say, "My father's a good person. It's a misunderstanding." He went on the radio and said, "Me and my father are not the same person. I don't want to have to answer questions for him. I'm not him." Basically, all but telling you his dad's a creep.
Well, I mean that, and then go listen to anything. People, again, and I mean, Cottrell wouldn't know this anyway, and Gene, you were young, but Howard Eskin started in the 80s when like Frank Rizzo was like mayor of the city, and to put it politely, to say he used racial undertones when he used to be on the radio would be putting it mildly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's who the guy is. I mean, I've never liked the guy ever. I've hated him forever since I started listening to sports radio. The guy's a douche, and it more of it's just coming to light now too. I know he's covered the Eagles forever, but tough shit.
I do want to read this quote though, because I think it's really important with Spike. Spike said, "You probably read it. You probably heard about it. There's a story about my dad. The truth is, he and I are different people who do different things. Even though he did this job and I do this job, I am not him. He is not me. I think we've made that very clear over the years, for better or for worse. So I don't feel comfortable at all speaking on the issue itself, as I would not if it was anybody else here at WIP. It is an issue with the radio station and the people involved. It is not my issue." That does not sound like a son that would be defending his father.
No, I mean, that's fine. But I mean, at the same time, Spike has beat the drum for his dad when he wanted to get certain jobs and certain things like that too. So, I mean, again, I'm not saying Spike is saying anything wrong there or sticking up for his father, but to like be like, oh, like, we're completely different, blah, blah, blah. Or like, I don't use my dad's name. Like, that's not accurate either. So,
no, he definitely used his dad's name to get involved in the system. That's not for here or there. But my point being is he could have went out there and said there's a misunderstanding or this and that. Spike did not do any of that. To his credit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got his own career now too, for however he got it, for better or worse, whatever you think of him. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, yeah, he's on the radio now. He's got his own image and his own career to worry about.
Yep.
Because Howard's about to get blackballed out of the city. So I'm a little disappointed in the Eagles, if I'm being completely honest, but we'll see what happens the next couple of days.
I think he'll be removed. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I have a couple sports related topics we didn't cover tonight. WNBA announced their all-star team. Caitlin Clark made the roster. Angel Reese made the roster. Bunch of other players made the roster, but they're the first pair of rookies to make the roster since 2014, I believe. And the fun thing about this year is that they're going to actually be playing against Team USA. So all the ladies that got selected for Team USA, that's going over to Paris, playing the Olympics, that's going to be like an exhibition game there. And I think that's going to be a fun thing to see, because I'm sure Caitlin has a chip on her shoulder about not being selected on the team, whether she'll admit it or not. I know Arike Ogunbowale does as well. And the last time they did this was in 2021, when they sent the team over to the Olympics, and the WNBA All-Stars actually won, and Arike Ogunbowale was the MVP. So definitely looking forward to like that matchup once that time comes, but wanted to show the two rookies some love there for sure. The other thing I just want to talk about here real quick is Team USA. They made all their final selections for the track and field team. Noah Lyles made in the 1 and 2. Sha'Carri's going to be in Paris running the 1. But the one cool story that's going over to Paris is that 16-year-old kid, Quincy Wilson, in the 400. He got 6th in the trial, so he won't be able to run the open 4, but he was selected to run on the 4x4 team over in Paris. And he's going to be the youngest American man to ever compete for Team USA. So really cool story there. Wanted to shout those, performances out, just because I knew we weren't going to cover them today.
Did you see the vote differential between last year's WNBA All-Star game and this year's? I think
it was like
incredible.
6 times as much.
The leading vote getter last year was Asia Wilson, who got 93,000 votes. The leading vote getter this year was Caitlin Clark, who got 700,000. Asia Wilson still got 600,000 votes, just to be clear. But the amount of fan base and, WNBA is getting constant ESPN games. I watched another one last night where Indiana played against Las Vegas. It was a good game until the fourth quarter.
Kelsey Plum took off.
Kelsey and Asia are just on a different level.
I mean, get it. Listen, I'll tell you what. I can't wait to watch. I'll never be rooting so hard for the WNBA All-Stars in my life. I want them to win. Because you know my thoughts about Gumbawale not making the roster. Caitlin, I have a love-hate relationship with Angel Reese. I like her most of the time. I love her personality. I loved her interview after the Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game. I said, I'm really interested to see how she handles this win. And she handled it perfectly. So I give credit where credit is due. I make criticisms where criticisms are due. I'm looking forward to more WNBA action and more WNBA talk on the show. Shally, any final thoughts?
Yeah, just to double down on the Olympic stuff. Women's gymnastics team was named. Simone Biles won all around again. She's going to go one more time, and I think it's kind of a redemption tour for her, after what happened last time. That team should be very strong again as well. They should be the favorites for the gold. But again, just, for her being at her age and still being dominant, it's actually very rare for gymnastics. Once you kind of get in the early 20s, that's usually kind of it. But she's a freak. But I thought that was great. This weekend, a lot of like really cool stuff going on 4th of July this weekend. You got Euros the next 2 days, quarterfinals, and all the big boys are there. You have the finals of Copa, obviously, as well. You got Silverstone for F1, Lewis's home track. It's gonna be a fun weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
And it's just double down on the point about Simone Biles. I think she's one of 4 to ever compete in 3 Olympics, like 3 different Olympic games.
Yep.
So hardly ever happens in gymnastics, and she's found a way to not only make it to her 3rd team, but she was the number 1 qualifier for Team USA. So they're still expecting her to go be top dog in gymnastics.
It's with the big 4 years apart. If you're really, really good, you get one, you make the team, you're around like 16, and then you usually get the other one when you're like 20. It's the 3rd one that almost never happens. And like Michelle said, it's only happened 3 times. It's her, Shannon Miller. I don't know who the 3rd one is. And that's the royalty all time of women's gymnastics anyway in this country.
All right, we got to wrap it up. We're 15 minutes past. Appreciate everybody tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, episode 195. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Control. Uncle Shally, Dr. Shally, Mr. William Shawcross. We are signing out.